Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2025 Raceland Football Legends Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Tonight, we celebrate not just the game itself, but the individuals whose talent, dedication, and passion have left a lasting mark on the game of football and this community as well. These inductees embody excellence both on and off the field, inspiring generations of players and fans alike. As we honor their achievements, we also recognize the countless stories of hard work, teamwork, and perseverance that have brought them here tonight. Please join me in celebrating the newest members of the Raceland Football Legends Hall of Fame. From the class of 1973, number 3, Sam Phillips. Sam was named an All-NEKC in 1971. Inducting Sam this evening is Randy Heberlin.
Thanks, Bill, but I'm glad you didn't take all my story away from me here. But anyway, I'm really honored to be up here with these guys up here, the guys behind them and everything. It's been a great tradition. And guys, you're all playing in one, and you'll remember that come 50 years or more from now, which is where we're at. But anyway, I got to play with Sam. I was very honored to have him as a friend and a teammate. But he moved here in the 8th grade, and we were really fortunate that he did. Couple of reasons. Our numbers back then, and I'm looking at the numbers you all have, we had around 21 on the team. And when he moved here, it increased our numbers to 22. So we were doing really good then. And the other great thing, he made a mistake and said he could throw the football. So after that, guess what position he got to play? Well, it was a good choice because at that time, we also had a new coach come in. Coach Salmons happens to know who that was. It was his future uncle. But he came in and moved Sam to quarterback, which was a great deal because Bill just said that he was the all-area, all-conference the junior year when he was playing here. Sam, believe it or not, probably weighed about, 115 pounds, something like that? Yeah, with his pads on. But the boy could run. That's all we knew. And fortunately, I got to be up front and block for him. We never knew where he was going, but he could sure run. But anyway, after he got that, and like I said, we had 22 people on the team, you couldn't understand how we had to practice. We had to practice half-line scrimmages. It was great when you were playing on defense because every time they called a play, you knew which side it was going to. It wasn't good for the quarterback in the backfield. Where's Mike at? Oh, yeah. It wasn't good for them because we always knew where to go and we could cheat a little bit. But anyway, it worked out really good for us. Sam has been a great contributor besides being on the team back then. Also, he's lived here the rest of his life. It's been over 50 years now, and he has contributed a lot to this community. A lot of it that most of you don't know anything about, but he's been one of those not in the limelight, but in the background. He's always been here to help other people out. He's done a lot for other people, so it's been great for that. And now, the best part of this, being an old-fashioned lineman, we never got any press. We never got any glory, anything like that. We always turned it over to the quarterback. So now, I get to do the same thing to him. I get to turn it over to him and listen to him get up here and see what he's got to say. So, Sam, it's been a great pleasure knowing you all these years.
My wife told me not to unfold this paper. I should have had it unfolded, but I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I've graduated high school, and Raceland sure has come a long way from just from where it's at. And like I say, I moved here in 1968 from Florida. The junior high that I went to at that time was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, and they run around 20-some hundred kids in the school. And there was, I think, 4 schools in the city of Tallahassee, and all those schools fed into one high school, Leon High. And so you can imagine what kind of football teams they had. Fortunately, I left because I sure wouldn't have got a chance to play. But as I thought back of anything to say, I think I should have, instead of getting this award, which I appreciate, the Hall of Fame board for this, I probably should have just got a participation award, and it would have been much better for me. I'd like to remember some guys that I played with. They were all friends. We all grew up together. We played football together, and we hung out on the streets together. We were all just good friends. And these are guys that hadn't made it. They've all passed away, and they were just dear friends of mine. It was Rick Davis and John Garton and Mike Stewart, Max Myers, Keith Lax and Jerry Williams and Jerry Waddell and Danny Hall and Gary Hopkins and Lewis Maynard and Timmy Howe. And last but not least was little Tommy Burris. And what little Tommy lacked in size and speed, he made up in heart. He was just one heck of a kid that, like you say, wasn't very big, but he sure liked to play the game. I'd like to thank my coaches, Coach Hosaffel and Coach Heck, Coach Stanley, and Coach Artrup, and Coach Bob Coughley. He was, they meant a lot to us. They spent a lot of time trying to help us and get us through. And like I say, I always thought we had a better team than what our record showed. But anyway, it is what it is. And I've also learned, too, that I think I've learned a whole lot more in life by losing than I did winning. And it sure seemed like we should have learned a lot back when I played football, because we didn't win a whole lot of games, but that's just the way it was. I think about times, decisions and stuff when you play the game. It's in real time and it's real fast. And decisions can either win you a ball game or they can lose you a ball game. It's about the same way in life. Decisions you make can either help you or hurt you. And some of the decisions are light decisions that you can get by with and move on. And some of the decisions are more costly. They might stick with you the rest of your life. And some of them are eternal. Some of the wrong decisions are eternal. And I'd like to say, I guess the one big decision that I ever made in my life was I felt like I was heading down a road that wasn't going no real fast. And on January 13th, 1980, I knelt at an altar of prayer, and I asked God to save me. And He did. And I'm thankful for that. And He put me on the road in a different direction, give me a new mind, a new thinking, and I really appreciate that. He's always been with me. He's been good to me. And as far as the football team, you guys, you're pretty impressive. I never had to, like I say, back when we played just area teams is all we played. Never thought about the playoffs or anything like that. It just didn't happen. And if we won in our area, it's a big deal. And if we didn't, then we didn't get the bragging rights for that year. But always remember that you play for Raceland, and you'll always be a Raceland Ram, period. That's it. That's the way you are now. It's in the blood. And so enjoy it, because it'll stick with you the rest of your life. I enjoyed playing football. I enjoyed going to Raceland. I'm glad I went to Raceland. I just enjoyed it. People say, where'd you go to school? And I said, I went to Raceland. And they said, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah, School of Hard Knocks." And that's pretty much the way it was with us. You know, we learned that most of us didn't get to play ball after high school, and we went and got a job. You get up, you go to work, you take care of your family, and you come home. And that's pretty much School of Hard Knocks. That's just the way it is. You get beaten, banged around. I pray that God's hand will be upon you. I really do. I pray that you'll never forget playing for the Rams. Give it the best shot you got. And I pray for the coaches that they will direct you. I'm sure they will. You got a good coaching staff. I think, like I say, we only had 3 or 4 coaches when I played. Now I don't know how many you got now, but anyway, I was going to say too. Always remember that in James 4:14 it said, "Life is like a morning fog. It's here a little while and then it's gone." And so, in your time in football, then you'll be a part of the Raceland alumni. You'll all be gone, and it'll go by faster than what you think. Life does. I'm 70 years old now, and I wonder where it all went to. And like I say, we just got to play local teams, and that was the size of it. That's pretty much, we played all of them, and in the last of it, it said, as far as Raceland lives, it said years ago. I remember in my freshman year that the Ashland coach made a statement in the Ashland paper. I don't know if you remember this or not, Randy. Like I say, we were freshmen then, and they were dropping the weak sister Raceland. And I was telling my wife, I said, "Boy, times sure has changed, haven't they? They've come a long way. They really have." And the one thing I'll leave you with that, and like I say, I appreciate this honor, and I appreciate what you do for the school, and I appreciate this little town. Like I say, I've lived in Worthington since 1968, and I appreciate it. And the road to Kroger Field goes through Raceland now. It don't go anywhere, it goes through Raceland. And that's something to be proud of, because like I say, back when I played, you didn't even think about playing in the playoffs or anything else. So you think about that. Appreciate it. Thank you. Go Rams.
From the class of 1975, number 80, Bobby Rowe. Bobby is only one of 4 Rams to ever sign with a D1 school, Army. He was All-Conference in 1973, All-Area in 1973 and 74. He was a scholastic leader in 73 and 74. He led the team in receptions and receiving touchdowns on offense, quarterback sacks on defense in 73 and 74. Bobby won the Lions Club Sportsmanship Award for 1974 and 75. Inducting Bobby this evening is Coach Larry Stanley.
Bobby Rowe. Wow. He looked like a tight end. You know what? That's where we're going to play that guy. That's what Coach Hick said. We had, well, let's say Bobby had the misfortune to be playing end during the age of the wishbone. And some of you guys know what that's going to mean to an end. We are not going to be passing the ball. And I don't know, probably 1,000 times back in the huddle. Throw it to me, I can get open. I can get open. Coach, throw it to me, I can get open. But the fact does remain that, he was a force to be reckoned with on and around the corner. He could hook that defensive end, and of course, wishbone going up the middle, never now and again, you got to go outside. And so we were able to do that. He was a fine blocking end, and also had good hands if and when we were ever going to throw him a pass. And so it's kind of a difficult thing for somebody with the talent of to being a good receiver, to not be thrown to. But then again, it was the era that we played in, but we were very successful simply because when we did want to give a throw, it was always there. Very good offensive end, a good blocker, and a good teammate. And I'm really, really proud to see him inducted in to this honor.
Got the rest of the gear, Coach. I'll dress out. The committee may learn a lesson about letting a lawyer into the Hall of Fame. We've got a tendency to want to speak a little longer than we probably should, so I will try to keep this short. As they mentioned, I was fortunate enough to lead the team in receptions and receiving touchdowns my junior and my senior year. And that sounds like a big deal, but it really wasn't when, like Coach Stanley said, the worst four-letter word in Coach Larry Heck's vocabulary was spelled P-A-S-S. Fortunately, as Frankie will remember, he would let us call an audible every now and then. So when the time was right, I'd mention to Frankie they weren't lining up head-to-head on me, and we'd throw a quick pass. And in my last football game, that worked for 2 touchdowns and an extra point pass. And we came back from being down 14-0 to beat Prestonsburg. Probably my proudest night as a Ram. All of the things that were mentioned, signing with Army was the biggest mistake I probably ever made in my life. I didn't want to go. My dad was a big-time football player from Ironton, Ohio, and as long as we were playing football, we got along just fine. He'd already told all his buddies at the Legion Hall how they were going to watch me play in the Army-Navy game. So I was there about 6 weeks, and 3 weeks of that was trying to get out. I just happened to look down somebody else's notes that mentioned Randy Heberlin's name. Randy said linemen never got any credit. I seem to remember a big article in the Ashland Daily Independent which said, Raceland's Heberlin likes to hit people. The next thing you know, he's playing for Eastern. He was a great player all the way around. For you players in particular, the greatest honor for me was not what I was able to do on the field, but it was being part of the process. Starting out on one of the first, not the first, but one of the first Little League teams that Raceland had, coached by Paul Rose, Kenny Lax, Danny Burris. And I don't know where Paul got that equipment, but a lot of us could turn our helmets sideways and look out the ear hole. But we learned how to block, and we learned how to tackle. We learned how to run a few plays. And it didn't make a difference quickly. It took some time. We had some tough years when Sam and Randy were playing. We'd play our hearts out. It was hard to beat those teams. My junior year, the senior year for Mike, as we used to call him, Iron Legs Wilson, and Scuff Chambers, Tim Howe. I won't try to name them all. But my junior year, we were 6-3-1, I believe. Was the best season Raceland had had in many years. My senior year, is when I think it really started to come together for Raceland. We were 9-2. They had some crazy Dickinson rating system at that time. We were ranked 4th in the state, I believe. But Lewis County had 5 district games scheduled, and we had 4. They played East Carter the week after our season was over. We had beat East Carter at East Carter 44-0. So we went down to Lewis County to watch. It was 32-28. East Carter had the ball on the 3-yard line with about 2 minutes left in the game, getting ready to score. If they won, we went to the playoffs. And they fumble, and Lewis County recovers. Since then, they've changed the system around. And I know that not every year, but the vast majority of years since 1975, the 74 season, the Rams have been to the playoffs. And I now live just south of Lexington. But as a lawyer, I traveled all over the state all the time. People would say, "Where'd you go to school?" And I would say, "Raceland." And they would say, "That's that little football powerhouse school, isn't it?" And I would say, "You betcha, you're right." So it was the process of bringing the program to a point that guys like you can carry it forward. It's what I'll always be proud of, and always be proud to have wore number 80 for the Rams. Thank you all.
From the class of 1987, number 34, Thomas A. Bishop. Thomas was on the All-Area team in 1986, All-State Honorable Mention in 1986. He played in the 29th Annual Kiwanis Senior Bowl on August the 8th, 1987 in Belfry, Kentucky. Thomas's other awards were in 1986 were Mr. Football, 110% award, Best Offensive Back. He was a 1,000-yard rusher, was the team's leading scorer, and all NEKC in 1985 and 86. Inducting Thomas this evening is Coach Odell Pack.
I guess Bill gets my $50 now, don't he? He said a lot of good things about you. Tom called me yesterday and said he'd give me $50 to say something good about him, and I told him I didn't know anything good, so I talked to my wife, though. She knows him pretty good. I'd like to mention one other thing, too, before I start talking about Tom. I hear a lot of people talking about last week. Listen, this team beat a 3A school and a 5 or 6A school. They're not too bad. That don't hurt. That makes you pretty good. Just because you lost one game, the season's not over. Tom was so intense, as intense almost as anybody I've ever worked with. As intense probably as Kenny Bostic and Randy Vanderhoof. These guys they were pretty intense that I worked with. Larry Massey, and Tom fits right into that category. He was a two-way player. Bill read you a lot of the offensive stuff, and he was good on offense. He was a 1,000-yard rusher. But in my opinion, he was best on the defensive side of the ball because teams feared him for some reason. It's because he would knock your head off if he had an opportunity to do it and then laugh about it. So he was a great defensive player, and he was good at offense too. But if you want to watch intensity, you watch him play defense when he was on defense. Some of the coaches that we had, played against, they would talk about what size he was at linebacker. He wasn't very big, but he could make you believe he was there. If he hit you, believe me, you knew you'd been hit. And other coaches appreciated that. We had several coaches after games where we had beat them, and they'd come up and say, "Boy, that number 34, he's crazy." And you know, they're not far from wrong. He looked for people to hit. He wanted it, and but he if you wanted to start a football team, the first person or the first kind of person you should pick is Tom Bishop, because he will get it done for you. He never complained about anything. He run his mouth sometimes too much, but other than that, he would always get it done. If you told him, he'd do it, and he never wanted it to come out. He wanted to be on every play that we had at practice wise, and during games, offense and defense. He comes by naturally. He has just like just about everybody else up here. He had a great family support. You know, his mom and dad were great with the school. His brother Shane was a good football player in his own right. He was pretty good. But I'm going to tell you something. The one I appreciate the most is his mother, Thelma. She used to make me cheese rolls in the cafeteria, and I loved them. Here's Tom. There you go, buddy.
Well, I want to thank the committee, Hall of Fame committee, for this honor. Second of all, I want to thank my wife, my mom, my brother. It's an honor to be here. I didn't know what I was going to say, but I just want to say it couldn't be a bigger honor to play for Raceland High School. I mean, you got to love it. You got to live it. You just sleep all day in class and then go to practice. That's all I live for. Just Miss Johnson say, "Tom, are you going to wake up back here in English class?" I said, "Miss Johnson, I need my rest." She'd go, I'm sorry I woke you up." I said, "Thank you, Miss Johnson." But anyway, got all these guys here. I know just about all of them. I've worked with some of them on the railroad, still work on the railroad. I just want to say to the guys that's playing for Raceland right now, play each game, each practice like it's your last, because it could be your last, especially when it comes to the playoffs. When you go first week of playoffs, Monday, practice like it's your last week of practice. Play your hearts out, because when it's over, especially for the seniors. Leave it all on the field, just because you're going to blink and you're going to be 56-year-old like I am, going, where did it go? I mean, it goes by quick. And I just want you guys got the team to do it this year. You know, I call Mike Wilson after every game. I'm out on the road working. I can't go to the game. I call Mike. What happened? Just leave it all on the field. I know you guys are going to make it back to Kroger Field. Leave it there. That last week of practice, that's all you should be worried about, that game. Leave it. I just want you guys to win one before, I think we all want them to win one before you never know when it's our last day. That's just, it all goes by quick. I just don't, I had people tell me when I was my senior year, it goes by quick, and I just like, I ain't going to listen to him. He don't know what he's talking about, but it does. And when you hit the playoffs, make it count, because you never get to go back. And that's all I can say, and I appreciate the honor, and thank you all.
From the class of 1996, number 52, Ryan Farrell. Ryan was a two-time All-Area team member, his junior year as an offensive lineman and his senior year as a defensive end. Ryan was named NEKC Defensive Player of the Year and a three-time district champion. Ryan was also a member of the first Raceland team to beat Ashland 2 years in a row. Inducting Ryan this evening are coaches Dan Mercer and Randy Vanderhoof.
Well, this is a very special place. I know some of you all maybe live different places, and some of these guys have too, and work different places. Man, there's no place in the United States like Raceland. Raceland-Worthington is such a special, special place. And when you think about Ryan Farrell, and you guys think about tonight, put on that jersey, Ryan Farrell knew what it meant to put on that Raceland jersey. He may not have knew all these guys that's up here and guys that played before, but every time Ryan put that jersey on, it was special to him because he's going to play with his teammates, but he was representing all these people and everybody in this Raceland-Worthington community. He understood what that meant. So tonight, guys, when you put that jersey on, you're not only just putting it on for yourself, you're putting it on for everybody in these two little small communities and all these guys that's played here. When you get tired out there playing, these guys, they're playing in their minds with you, so you're not tired. As Coach Ross used to say, as Ryan would tell you, you know, your mind is tougher than the body. When your body says no, you got to say go, go, go. And that's the way Ryan Farrell was. Just not on game day. Ryan knew how to prepare during the week and get ready to play. You know, we got a lot of good players, don't we, Coach Salmons? And Coach is trying to teach some of them. You got to prepare during the week to get ready for Friday night. Well, Ryan understood that. When he came to practice, he came to work. He's a lunch pail guy in my mind, Coach Mercer. Ryan came to work, he had his hard hat on, his safety glasses, his steel-toed boots, and he had his lunch box with him. He's ready to go to work. And the guys that lined up against him on Friday night, they knew that they had played on a ball game that played against Ryan Farrell. This meant the world to Ryan. And Ryan, I know if Coach Ross was here, that he'd be so proud of you because you was one of his favorite players. I know you probably didn't think so at the time, Ryan, because you and Chris Baldridge, Coach said your names a lot. Especially sometimes when those yellow hankies would come out, especially on those screen passes that we used to throw. And Sean Hyten, he owes you a couple of steak dinners at the river because he's in this Legends thing because of guys like you, buddy. But Ryan knew what it was like to be in the trenches. He knew what it would be like to be a team guy. Ryan didn't play for anything like this. He played for the love of the game, and he played for the love of his teammates and playing for the love of representing Raceland High School and the Raceland Rams. Ryan, I couldn't think of a no better person to be inducted in this hall tonight than you. Congratulations, Ryan.
Coach Hoof's a hard act to follow, but let me throw a few things in about Ryan. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege for me to be here. There's no place like Raceland. And unfortunately, I didn't go to school here, but my blood is orange. I got a grandson who coaches at Ashland and one here. And I normally wear this orange around the house more than any other thing. Make a long story short about Ryan, I think of him, he chose to be a Ram. He chose to be a Ram. He was a Russell boy. But he came down here to a camp that Bill Tom Ross put on, Coach Ross put on. And we liked Ryan real well. And, of course, he began to like us a little bit, too. So he decided to transfer down here. I believe you're in the ninth grade year, Ryan. Is that correct? And he became a hit on campus right off the bat. You know, besides going out there and knocking those edge guys down, those corners and those defensive ends and all that on those screens, sweeps and quick pitches, Ryan was a good person. And I think that's the thing I admired more about him than anything. I was the principal and also lucky enough to coach a little bit at that time. And Ryan was always a fine young man in that building and a young man that you could hang your hat on. And you were always proud of. Now, he's over smiling a little bit. He probably snookered me a few times like Shane Bishop back there, but that's just another thing. But, you know, once again, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. And this group of guys right over here, they're something special. Sit back and watch them. They're led by a pretty good old boy there and some of those other guys back there in the back. And I think they're doing the right thing. And team, There's not a man up there that hadn't been knocked on his hind end and humiliated and just downtrodden. But every one of these guys would get back up and get back out there that next play and give it everything they got. I'm proud of Coach Salmons and all those guys back there and that team, and may God bless you. Ryan Farrell.
All right, I'm just gonna wing this. So, I did come from Russell, and back then Russell was a little bit different than it is today. In Raceland, they took me in like a family. Like when I first came here, guys, I can't even begin to tell you how much Sean and J.K. and Gary and Joe and all them, man, they took me in and treated me like family, and that was the one thing I loved about Raceland. Sometimes, I never wanted to be that guy that graduated and always dwelled on my high school years. But when I close my eyes, I can still hear Joey's voice in the huddle and Brad's voice, and I can still feel Sean's hand on my shoulder pushing me upfield as I'm blocking, and I can still hear Chris Baldridge screaming about a leaf on his forehead while we're down in the 4-point stance, and I can still see J.K. twisting his way into the end zone at the Paris game from the 15-yard line on a Hail Mary. Like, don't know how he did it, but I can still see it. And those things will live with you for the rest of your life, man. I can't even begin to say how important those moments are. So, and when we played, we didn't make deep playoff runs, so it was always a local thing. So, we've got to beat Ashland 2 years in a row. And then our senior year, we were coming off of a year where we lost Gary and Joe and Chris and David Grubb and Matt Walker and Joe Rife and a bunch of guys. And there was only 4 of us. And do you know how hard it is to beat Ashland 8-0 at Ashland in the first game of the season? And after you graduate, playing these local teams, I had buddies from Greene, buddies from Ashland that I would work with on, different jobs in different places. And they'd be like, Raceland, so I always had bragging rights to talk crap. So one day, 20 years from now, you can be like, Waller, 14-0 or 14-14, last-second field goal. And those moments will live with you, And no matter what they'll come back and say, I had a buddy who would always be like, well, we beat you in basketball and baseball. And I'd be like, so? And he'd be like, crap, you're right. So, but man, Raceland, it was just, we were always the underdog. And I loved that about Raceland. We were the small kid on the block. We were the small team, So let's go tell one more story. And our senior year, after we lost to everybody, we were going into Ashland, first game of the season. And I don't know if it was a psych move by Coach Ross, if he was trying to psych them out or trying to psych us up. But we didn't go to Ashland like you always go to the game before an hour and you warm up and you do your stretches and stuff. We did everything right out here, and then Coach Ross put us on a bus 25 minutes before the game was supposed to start. So we pulled into Ashland 5 minutes before kickoff, and he wouldn't let us off the bus until it was time to flip the coin. And I can remember you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet, and that's like another memory. Coach Mercer stood up on the bus and was, "Are you all ready?" And it was just like you knew, even though the Ashland was out on the out in the field, and other people were in the stands, I know they heard us screaming from that bus, and it just lives with you. I can't even explain how cool it is. So with that said, I wish Coach Ross was still here. That man brought me in from a football camp, and day one treated me like family, and thank my parents for taking me to Coach Ross, because even though I was a Russell kid, for some reason they took me to a Raceland football camp. So to this day, I don't know why. And I just fell in love with Raceland. And now I live in Raceland. My daughter goes to Raceland. I bleed orange. And it's just part of who I am. And hopefully that'll stick with you guys one day. And anybody who's ever played for Raceland, and Hall of Fame or not. So But with that said, man, thank you, the committee. Thank you for my parents for taking me to all those practices over the years. And I love my family, wherever you all are. I can't see the lights. So that's it. Thank you, guys.
From the class of 2015, number 1, Connor Messer. Connor, as a 7th grader, played in the U.S. Army All-American Junior Game at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. As an 8th grader, he traveled to Phoenix, Arizona, and played in the Diamond Bowl. As a senior, Connor played in the Blue-Gray All-American Game at Tampa Stadium in Tampa, Florida. Connor won the Class A Sportsmanship Award in 2015, a two-way starter. He started 51 games in 4 years, had a combined 21,359 yards on offense from 2011 to 2015. All-State in 2015, multiple Player of the Year awards, multiple district and regional championships in 4 years, and in the KHSAA football record book with 19 career receptions. Inducting Connor into the Hall of Fame this evening is Coach Gary Fannin.
I do have to say that Ryan Frell came in as a tight end when he got here, and 2 years later they put a tackle number on him. So he made the ultimate sacrifice, but he was a great player for us, man. Connor Messer. Well, I'll be honest with you. If I go over all the things he did while he was here, we'll probably miss the game tonight. He was just a super athlete. You know, I'm very honored, Connor, that you let me introduce you. I know the committee, you know, is always, you know, they have tough decisions to make on these things, but I would say that this is not a tough decision. I can't think of anybody that would be more deserving to go in their first year of eligibility than Connor. You know, people ask me all the time, of course, you know, I've been coaching for 26 years here. I've been around longer than that, and they're always like, who's the best football player? Who's the best football player? And that's really hard to say who the best football player is, because there's so many good qualities of a great football player. But if you ask me who the best athlete that I know that's ever been here, I will not hesitate. It was Connor Messer. The thing about Connor was he was a multi-sport athlete. You know, you go out here in the winter and watch him get 20 rebounds in a basketball game, and he really never worked any at all in basketball. He just went out there in the winter and shot layups and rebounded the ball. It was really impressive. And then in track and field, if you guys look at the board as you go out of here, you'll see his name all over it. He won 7 different state championships, and he's also still holds 3 school records. I thought that was pretty cool. As far as football goes, so today, what time I was during my planning period, I got on and watched a little film of his junior and senior season, and it was just amazing some of the things that he was able to do. You talk about a guy that played multiple positions. First of all, he's probably the best quarterback that's ever, I truly believe since I've been here, he's the best quarterback we've had. And he didn't play quarterback for us because he was so dangerous playing other positions. He was actually played our Z receiver, which was, you know, our slot receiver, a guy that could be off the ball, but he would go in motion. We'd hand it to him. We'd let him run routes. We'd throw it to him. And then we'd get in a 3-back set where he was taking the snap, playing quarterback, and he would literally fake and run the option out the back. And I can promise you, we never practiced the option. And those of you that have ran the option know you have to practice it a lot. Connor didn't have to practice it. He could just run it. It was amazing. But there was one game out here I know where he was running the option on the edge, and it was him and one guy, and he literally faked the pitch, and the guy ran 3 steps, and he walked in the end zone. It was pretty cool. But you know, he was a really good receiver, not just at catching the ball, but he was a very good blocker on the edge. A guy that could play in space. He played with such a wide base. You know, he was able to. I wouldn't say that he was putting guys on the ground, but they could never get around him. So he was a great blocker. He would go in motion. We'd hand it to him. Shoot sometimes he'd go in motion, we'd hand it to him, then he'd throw it back across the field. So, I mean, he could do about anything. He was also our punter, and he was pretty good at returning punts also. But don't forget that after he scored all these touchdowns, we'd tee it up, and he'd kick it through the uprights. He was our extra point kicker, too, his senior year. So he was just an unbelievable talent. I was very fortunate to coach him. Of course, you know, me being me, everybody's telling, man, this Connor Messer, he's such a great player. I was like, listen, when he came here, he couldn't even catch. I taught him all that, which wasn't true, but, you know, you get credit sometimes when guys aren't very good, so you might as well take credit when they aren't really good, even though it's, you know, you probably don't deserve it. The last thing I'll say, the most impressive thing for me was him on the defensive side of the ball. So he was able to come up, tackle on the edge. Our defense really evolved about the time he was playing because of some of the things he was able to do we didn't think could be done. So now we kind of teach it that way, just to be real honest with you. He was able to get to the line of scrimmage. He was physical with blockers. If there was one guy in space, he wasn't missing a tackle. He was just unbelievable player in space. He had 18 interceptions in his career, which is, you know, incredible. He had 9 as a sophomore. So he would have had more, but they figured out we better quit throwing it around him or he's going to pick it off. I remember a conversation, Coach Sammons, we were in his office after we played Lawrence County his senior year. They had beat us his junior year, so it was a game we were really motivated to play in. And we actually, in practice that week, I still remember, and I'm sure some of the coaches do, I was trying to convince our outside linebackers. I'm like, listen, we have Connor Messer. All you have to do is make the ball run wide, and he's going to tackle it for a loss. That's all you have to do. We were able to figure it out that week because, you know, we beat Lawrence really good that night, and we were in Coach Sammons' office on Monday, and he was big buddies with Lawrence's coach, and he was on speakerphone talking to him, and he was like, well, everybody wanted to tell me about Connor on offense and Connor returning punts. Listen, I can't believe how physical he was on defense and how many times he came up and tackled. He was just, and I thought that was pretty cool because, you know, Connor was just a really good athlete, and I was very blessed to coach him, obviously. So, Connor, listen, we thank you for all the contributions you made to our football program. So please join me in congratulating Connor Messer.
Well, for the people who do know me, I'm not really big on public speaking, so I'm going to make it a little bit shorter and kind of sweet. But first thing I want to do is I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee to being recognized alongside with all the greats who came through this program. It does mean a lot to me, and I appreciate that. To all the coaches that have coached me throughout my 4 years here at the high school, thank you for shaping me not just for the player that I am, but the person that I became as well. Not even just guiding me on the field, but guiding me off the field as well. I really do appreciate all that. Your lessons went way beyond that, and I really do appreciate that. To my family, to my mom and dad mainly, I appreciate your support through everything. You made it all possible for me to be able to be up here now and everything that I've done in the past. I'm forever grateful for that. For you all from taking me to football camps, all-star games all across the United States, driving me to practices when I wasn't able to drive, and for just also being my biggest fans and being my biggest supporters and always being there for me no matter what. I appreciate both of you, and I love you guys so much, and thank you for that. And to the current players now, just remember, respect the game, play for each other, and carry on the legacy with pride. And I want to end on the last thing, and just remember, it's always a great day to be a Raceland Ram. So, thank you.
If anybody knows me, they know that I try to keep everything scripted and try to follow a path. But tonight I've been asked to turn the microphone over to Ron McLeod for a special presentation.
Folks, tonight I would like to ask Coach Sammons to come forward. We have something for him. As you heard, the coaches have made a difference in all of our lives, and Jim Conley made a difference in our lives, and Coach Sammons is making a difference in many lives. We really appreciate it. We're glad to have him here as our coach. And the governor of Kentucky appreciates him too, so we may be making him the Kentucky Colonel. There you go, bro.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. It's kind of ironic timing after what happened 7 days ago, I guess. But I heard a lot of guys talk about it. Obviously, it's a special place, and I'm in front of this microphone all the time, so you can hear me anytime you can look me up. But obviously, we're extremely proud to be here tonight. Connor's up here tonight. He was a senior my first year as head coach, so actually the first player that coached under us to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. And these guys talk about time going like that, and man, it doesn't, not really. I see guys up here that coached me and guys up here I played with, but we're really excited tonight to make sure that we leave these guys proud. All right, 2 hours and 5 minutes we'll be out there, and we're going to turn it loose tonight for everybody. You guys hang in there with us. We've been knocking on the door for a long time. I heard guys talk about in '74 maybe should have made the playoffs, and unfortunate. And 2025, we've been there. We've been within 20 yards of it. But the way you get there is one snap at a time, and I think tonight you'll be proud of the product on the field, and I'm appreciative for everybody. You guys stay with us in this community. I tell people all the time, you don't wake up and decide to move to Raceland. I'm sure Sam didn't decide to do that. What'd you say, Sam, in 68, right? It don't happen that way, right? Don't appear on most state maps. But once you're here, it gets in your blood, and you don't leave. And you guys hang in there tonight. We'll be ready to go at 8 o'clock, and as Connor says, no better place. Great day to be a Ram.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 2025 Raceland Football Legends Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Refreshments are going to be served in the Commons area. We'd like to thank everyone for being here today. Let's all give our legends one more big Rams round of applause. Fans, we will see you shortly at historic Rams Stadium for the greatest show on turf as your Rams take on the Mercer County Titans. Enjoy this evening, take care, and God bless.